Hello, gorgeous. Mina Irfan here, and today I'm doing a podcast episode. This episode will be featured on my YouTube channel, on my podcast on YouTube Music, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all those fun places. So I hope you had a wonderful Christmas if you are celebrating, and a nice break otherwise. And today I wanted to bring to you a very important topic that has been on my mind for quite some time. And the title for today's podcast episode is Your Presence is ASMR for Their Soul. Now, before this concept came in my mind, I wasn't particularly all that interested in ASMR. And sorry if I mispronounce that or missay the letters or mix them up because I often do. I'm not really into it. I didn't pay much attention to these types of videos when they would show up in my feed, or I never really understood what the whole thing was about. But then I just became aware of these childhood memories of I had of certain sounds or I don't sounds or experiences and feeling a certain way in those rare occasions that my mom was home. Many of you guys know my story. My mom was an immigrant, both of my parents were, and she worked very hard and she wasn't home a lot. But in those occasions when she was, it was just so soothing for my soul to hear her kind of in the kitchen and cooking something, and the water was running, and the sound of her footsteps and just these certain things that I would miss. My mom's been gone now for 13 years, almost 14. And just being able to hear those little sounds and how I felt so safe when I did hear those sounds. And then I was kind of making the connection to the fact that when a baby is in utero, the baby is listening to the mother's heartbeat. You can hear the baby can hear the mother chewing, walking around, speaking, all of those internal and external experiences of the mother are something that the baby hears, and it becomes part of the baby's musical library, so to speak. And, this got me thinking. I often get emails and comments from my students saying that, Mina, when I was pregnant with my baby, I was playing you in the background all the time, listening to your videos. And when the baby came out and the baby would cry, I would play your videos and the baby would stop crying. And I found this really fascinating because I was such a big part of this mother's experience, I became unknowingly a part of the baby's experience. So much so that these students were now saying that they would have to play my voice in the background to soothe their baby. The baby found it very soothing to hear. It was like some kind of a song or a lullaby that they could now play for their babies. And so when I was thinking about the ASMR thing, and then this thing that my students said, and then my own just, missing of my mom's sounds, I became aware of the fact that every time I'm in the kitchen or I'm like doing the laundry or I'm just kind of like in the house doing things, how that seems to be like an invitation for my husband and my children to draw near me. So everyone can kind of be in their own room doing things, but the minute that they hear me walking around, running water, messing with the dishes, chopping up something, it's like almost like this call to action to like come towards me. It's like almost magnetic. And so I was thinking about these things, and then my son made this comment the other day. So to kind of give you a reference, when I got married to Irfan, I was a stay-at-home mom for 9 years straight. and I wasn't doing anything else. And my entire life was just, taking care of the kids and my husband and my house and cooking and cleaning and reading. And I loved it. I was just kind of just nurturing my soul and just around. And then in 2017, I started my business and I was still cooking and cleaning and then running the business. And then over time, I ended up hiring, you know, helpers in the house, like a maid to help me clean. And then in the last 18 months since we moved into our new house, I've basically done very little cooking. We have several cooks that cook for us, and we can order anything they cook in their house, and my husband goes and picks up the food or they deliver. So, to give you this background, my children have access to pretty much any cuisine you can imagine. All they have to say is like, Daddy, I feel like eating this, this, and this today. And either it will immediately get DoorDashed or Uber Eats, or some cook will make it for them and it will be immediately delivered. And my son, my 13-year-old, my middle son, was like, Mommy, can you make this for me? And he named some dish. And I was like, sure. So I made it for him. And he was like, oh my God, Mom, this is the best. It tastes the best ever. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yes, it's so good. You make it the best. And I'm like, that's interesting. So I said, it can't be better than, so and so, because we have professional cooks cooking for us, right? I know that I'm not competing with them and winning. And he's like, no, Mom, yours is the best. So this happened repeatedly, like 4 or 5 times in a week, where my son requested that I make something and I make it, and he was like, Mom, this is the best. Oh my God, I love it. And so then I asked him about it. I said, This is funny to me that you have access to an unlimited amount of restaurants from any cuisine you can imagine. We live in Houston. I mean, it's like the mecca of international cuisines, right? And you have access to three different cooks. And you're saying that you prefer my cooking over yours. And he said, yeah. He's like, you're that good. And I'm like, I'm not that good. The reason you prefer my cooking is because I'm your mother. And he's like, no, it's seriously, it's that good. And so I was thinking about this for a couple days. And and then I told him, I said, you know what it is? And he's like, what? I'm like, when I'm cooking for you, you're hearing the entire process. I'm like, I've noticed that when I'm cooking for you, you will stop playing your video game or whatever you're doing, chatting with your friends, and come down and sit at the counter and have a whole conversation with me. And you're not realizing this, but you're hearing the running sound of the water and me chopping up the vegetables and me making like all the sounds that come from cooking and the presence of your mother. It's like it's so safety, right? Like it's an element of like I'm safe. I'm at home. There's an element of warmth to it. There's an element of love to it. There's an element of being nurtured that comes with it. And I said, I think that that's what's enhancing the flavor of the food. And I don't mean to be like bashing my cooking. Like I've had, many, many, many people say over the last 25 years that I've been cooking that they love my cooking, and I'm sure it's great. But I know that it's not better than some of these cooks that cook for my children. Like, let's just be honest, right? But because he gets this very nurturing, motherly experience that's very ASMR for his soul, there's nothing that can beat that. I remember when we were, years ago in the old house, and when I was doing all the cleaning myself, when I would be vacuuming, it's like a trance for my husband. Whereas when we have our housekeeper or someone else cleaning, anyone cleaning for us, like my husband can't stand it. Like he's like, when are they gonna leave? Like he wants whoever's over cleaning to be like done with it and out of the house soon. But I remember when I was vacuuming, and even to this day, if I'm cleaning something, organizing something, whatever my kids and my husband are doing, they're there. They're like watching me, wanting to help me, and just talking to me and present. Like there's never a moment where I have to do these things alone. And so when I was putting all of these experiences together, I was like, oh my God, the presence of a mother in the home is just so nurturing to the soul. It's almost like this experience that the baby would have in utero. It's like part of the entire pair bonding process. And I've really been thinking about this for the last couple of months. It's just been coming up over and over again. And then you guys know, some of you guys have heard I'm redoing my home office, turning it into a whole like girly, vibey home office situation. And what's really interesting is that when my husband was putting together some of the furniture pieces that I ordered, all of a sudden, again, my children like ran to the office and they were like sitting there watching daddy hammer and nail and like drill. And it got me thinking, I'm like, oh my God, that's the fatherly ASMR. It's like the fatherly experience. And, my middle son who helped Irfan with the entire process, Alina also helped with parts of it, but he was just so proud of like, oh, mommy, I built your cabinet. Do you love it? Do you like it? Like, what do you think of it? And he's like showing me, this is how you open the drawer, mom, and this is how the cabinet works. It was the cutest thing ever. But there was a element of ASMR to the entire experience. And I wonder how many other things are like that for us that we appreciate on a subconscious level. It's like it's something that our soul appreciates, but we may be missing it. It's not in our conscious awareness. When we sit out in nature and hear the birds chirping and all the sounds that nature makes, below our like auditory level of consciousness and above it as well, that's so soothing. Like, yes, the earth is still rotating, like everything is good. Like things are happening the way that they're supposed to happen. There is an element of being provided for, nurtured, loved in these seemingly mundane but vital human experiences. And I think that the woman's role in the home, when we say, the woman is the heart of the home, this is it. So, you putting around the little clinky noises, sounds that you make when you're doing your makeup and when you're puttering around in the house, organizing things, when you're grabbing the laundry, when you're putting things away, all of this creates this experience for your family that you cannot even imagine. Like it's not something that we consciously think of, but when we remove this, there's this deep longing and like saddening of the human soul that often people are not able to put in words. So like I said, I've been thinking about this for a few months, and then you're not gonna believe this weird, eerie experience that I had. This happens to me a lot where I will have this idea and I'll start thinking about it and I'll see all of these different downloads and I'll start putting stuff together like just like I explained to you here. And then I'll get like this outward confirmation of it. So a week ago, I went onto YouTube and on my homepage there was this video and it was an odd video for to be recommended for me because I'm not a student. And it said something like Asian mom something like Asian mom helps you study video. And it was like 4 hours long and it had 5.1 million views. And I'm like, what the hell? First of all, I was just surprised that I would even get this video recommended because I'm not a student, right? And the thing was that on the video thumbnail was a man with a towel in his head, an Asian man, obviously not a woman, but it said Asian mom. So I click on the video and I can't believe this video. It's a video of an Asian man pretending to be an Asian mom with a towel on his head. And basically there's like Mandarin, something mad in Mandarin playing in the background in the TV, very faint. And then there's like running water sounds in the background. And this mom, I'm using my hand quotations, keeps coming in, this man pretending to be a woman, and like saying things like, are you studying? Like, keep studying, focus, okay? Don't get distracted. And then it's the mom says, I'm gonna check on you every 2 minutes and walks away. And you hear these like very subtle noises in the background of her chopping up something in the kitchen and the water is running and this Mandarin TV show or something in the background. And I'm like, why would someone watch this? This is so bizarre. And so I go in the comments and I couldn't believe it. People in the comments were like, oh my God, I miss my mom. Or this is so soothing. Someone said, I got through my PhD listening to this, or I got through my exams playing this in the background. There were other people in the comments saying things like, I play this on my large screen so I don't feel alone in my house. And I'm just reading all of these comments and just can't even believe it. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been thinking. It's like the ASMR for the soul. It's like people who don't have a mom or someone that they're living with that's so attentive. And so this mom keeps coming in every couple of minutes and giving the person snacks, right? Like it's filmed from the perspective that like you're the student, you're the child, and they're coming in, she keeps giving them snacks and then also threatening them, you should study. And people in the comments were like, this is the most parenting I've ever received in my life. And saying things like, I wish I had a mom that was that concerned about my education. And it was funny to me. I sent it to my son and I was like, this is hilarious. It's funny because a lot of Asian people complain about their parents being like overly attentive about their education. But here it's got 5.1 million views of people saying that this video changed their life. And it really brought that entire thing that I've been thinking home. I'm like, this is like why what made this man think about this? Just like I had been thinking about this for like 6 weeks prior to finding this video about the ASMR thing and how like little noises and sounds and experiences that we have in our home are so nurturing for our husband and children. So what made this man realize to film a 4 hour video, and I think it was looped, it probably was, and then put it out there and did he know that this was something that the world needed? Was this supposed to be a funny video and then it turned into something more? Or did he consciously know that there are millions of people in the world that don't have this kind of ASMR experience in their household of their mom puttering around in the kitchen, their dad using a hammer to build something, this whole like musical library of your childhood experience, just the daily sounds of it. Did he know when he made that video? It blows my mind how it just the whole thing comes together. And I want you to become aware as we go into 2024 and even beyond. I know a lot of my content is timeless forever here on YouTube and on my podcast, but wherever you are, whatever year you're watching this, become aware of the musical experience around you. And when I say musical, I don't mean actual like music that you blast or it might be part of your experience, but I mean how you are contributing to the experience of your loved ones through your being. And this fits in so well with a decision that I had made a couple of years ago. Every so often, I would say a couple times a year, I evaluate the culture of my home and the experience and what's working and what's not working so that we can continuously, improve the experience of our family. A couple years ago, I became aware that there was a lot of like unnecessary phonetic energy in the house. And so we had a conversation and became aware that certain things like certain things didn't need to be said. There needs to be an experience, like we need to allow an experience of togetherness in our family that's not always filled up with unnecessary talking. Because not all of it is good. Like sometimes it's just nervous talking. And so, like part of the problem for us was just giving each other unnecessary updates all the time. And I've talked about this in my Conscious Couples course and maybe in other places as well, that it ruins the romance and the polarity in your relationship when you're constantly sharing unnecessary updates. Like it turns you into kind of like a company, like, right? Like it's like a boss employee kind of relationship where I did this, I picked up this, can you do this? I know some of that is necessary when you're householding together, but some of it really takes away from your romantic polarity. And so we became a household where we speak to connect, and talking is something that we use to create love and not unnecessary conflict, unnecessary entropy, unnecessary phonetic energy. And it drastically changed the energy of my house. Oh my goodness. Like we didn't have to constantly feel like we have to talk. We could be together and just enjoy each other's presence without always talking. And luckily my kids are like that where they, talk my children aren't like unnecessary talkers. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people just talk to talk, and I really appreciate that about them. I know that when I used to be anxious in my 20s and I used to suffer from panic attacks, one of the things was a lot of unnecessary talking. So I feel that becoming aware of the energy of your home, the auditory energy, and how you can make it more pleasant can completely change the energy of your family. And it can create this really beautiful and calm and high vibration experience for everyone. Okay. So that's my message for today. One quick announcement that I do have is that the University Bundle, which is my bundle with all my courses, it has over 60 courses, and all new courses are immediately added to the University Bundle. It will be going up in price on January 1st, 2024. So those of you guys that have had your eyes on it, now would be a great time to grab it. There is a 3-month payment plan that I'm offering. And also, you can get an extended payment plan through Affirm, Klarna, and Afterpay if you are a US resident. And this year's bonus is my Money Grid Mastermind. So the mastermind is not otherwise included in the university bundle because it's like group coaching. However, for those that purchase during this period, this 7-day period until January 1st, you get lifetime access to the Money Grid. And the Money Grid meets once a month, and we have a huge like money consciousness, energy related session to up level you in your abundance and your barakat and your prosperity. And so we meet once a month. There's a Facebook group chat in there. And also all previous recordings are in the dashboard, so you will get access to that and you can binge watch the previous sessions. So that's the bonus for this year. And once you enroll, you have access to all my courses, which separately, if you bought them all separately, it would be over 75,000. So this is really, really highly discounted, the university bundle. And then any future courses that I ever create immediately get access. So for example, the people that bought the university bundle 3 years ago, I created 30 more courses since they bought it, and they immediately got access to the new 30 courses without having to purchase anything else. This bundle also gives you access to really big discounts off of in-person events. So any in-person events that I have, like Incarnate is coming up in 17 days, super excited. The university bundle students are highly discounted in their ticket for that. So it's a really great way to get like everything, my entire curriculum. It's like buying the entire university versus just taking certain courses. And so I will make sure that the link is in the description box. There's no code needed. The price will just automatically go up on January 1st. And once you pay, you will get added to the Money Grid Mastermind. We're meeting this Friday in there for December. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments your thoughts if you're watching this on YouTube on ASMR for the Soul, creating a great sort of phonetic, high energy experience for your family members and for your loved ones and for yourself, obviously. And also, if you have any questions regarding the university bundle, you can email my team at support@theuniversegrew.com. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.